All right, episode 27. I'd like to welcome everybody to the absolute best weekend of sports with a very special guest, my first basketball player on the podcast, Matt Mooney. Matt, how you doing out there in Puerto Rico?
I'm good, man. My body's a little tired. I'm outside. The weather's great. Everything's good.
That's what I like to hear. Puerto Rico, that's got to be an incredible place to play basketball. But I want to give a big shout out to Tim Hirsch for getting us together and talking. He's the alumni relations manager at Notre Dame, and he truly cares. He actually reached out to me and was like, should we reach out to Matt Mooney? Absolutely. Right before this tournament. So, Matt, one more time, welcome on to the Nathan Doherty podcast. I really appreciate your time.
You got it, man.
So, I'm going to start because a lot of people are going to tune in from all over, and me and Matt, we went to Notre Dame College Prep, so I got a few Notre Dame specific questions for you to get rolling. So you're originally from Wakanda, Illinois, correct?
Correct.
So you drove about 2 hours every single day there and back to Notre Dame?
Yeah, some days. So, this was my dad. My dad, who no longer here with us, but was an incredible dad, and he was always thinking, where can I send, where could he send me and my siblings so that we could reach our potential athletically. And Notre Dame at the time, Tom Les was coaching, and didn't make a whole lot of sense to go from Wakanda to Niles every day, but found a way to make it work. Sometimes it was driving, sometimes it was he'd drop me out the bus station in Barrington. I'd take the bus to Des Plaines, get off, or I'd take the train, Barrington to Des Plaines, get off, take the bus. And then my grandparents, both of them, my mom's dad and my mom's mom, both lived right near Notre Dame. My grandpa lived in the neighborhood behind Notre Dame, so I would stay with him sometimes. And then my grandma lived in Morton Grove, just down Dempster there. So me and my younger brother Joe, who went to Notre Dame too, we would spend time with them. Sometimes we'd drive home, sometimes we'd bus and train. It was a mix of those three.
Your grandparents living right there made it a little bit easier to commute for maybe you had a late practice or something. I mean, that just builds character at the end of the day. You hike there and back with your brother. And I'm sure you have no regrets looking back about Notre Dame.
No regrets. I mean, look, for me, I didn't play varsity till I was a junior. So it was good for me to be in an environment where I had to earn playing time and earn a role. And Notre Dame, there's a lot of good players that come through there. If I didn't go there, I would have went to Carmel High School or Wakanda High School, where I probably would have played varsity as a freshman, and just had the keys handed to me and been able to do whatever I want. But Notre Dame was good because as a pro, I've had to, and throughout my college career, I had to learn how to play with better players and earn playing time. And Notre Dame taught me that from a young age.
Yes, sir. How tall were you, say, sophomore, junior year? Or when did you kind of hit that spurt where you were at your max height?
Yeah, I tell kids this all the time. I was like 5'5", 5'6", my freshman year of high school. So I was really fortunate. I shot up, but my senior year, I was maybe 5'11", 6 foot. So I wasn't recruited very much. Only had one offer, and I ended up going to Air Force. But yeah, I was sophomore, junior year, 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", and then I grew a couple inches in high school. I was a late bloomer. Or in college, I grew a couple inches. I was a late bloomer.
So you were kind of a scrapper back in high school, defense and doing the little things the right way?
No, actually not really. I was not much of a defensive guy. Ask Tim Hirsch or ask those guys who knew me, Coach Boyle. I love Coach Boyle, by the way. I still call him Coach Boyle. I call my coaches now, even though they don't coach me anymore.
Me too.
Ask Coach Drafts, ask those guys if I played any defense. They'll tell you I played no defense.
Were you just a three-point shooter?
I was a scorer. Give me the ball. I want to shoot the ball. And, I could put it on the floor too, but Defense, that didn't really click until I got to Texas Tech years later.
Gotcha. That's great. How Notre Dame prepared you for a pro and college career, just both on and off the court?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I touched on it a little bit. The fact that there's good players around you. I had to earn playing time. You know, it wasn't just handed to me. I didn't play varsity till I was a junior. I didn't start most of my junior year. Some was that because I had some injuries and things like that. But, you know, then Coach Les really, he ran it like a college program. You know, that was what attracted me to Notre Dame so much, is that it was a serious basketball program. They cared about basketball. They cared about winning. They played a good schedule. You got kids coming there who want to play in college. And, you know, you have a strength coach. Coach Williams was a strength coach. You had open gyms in the summers, all summer long, which is basically, you know, get some skill work in and then you play up and down. And it was just, there was a seriousness to the program at Notre Dame where it's like, man, this is a place that cares about basketball and wants to win and wants to develop players. So certainly wasn't that way at, you know, at that time with Carmel High School or you know, where I was from in Wakanda.
Mm-hmm. And I would always, I think I was in 6th or 7th grade going to Notre Dame games, went to St. Juliana, and I'd walk in that gym and Coach Les was an intimidating man from afar. He always had that look on his face like he's all about the business.
He always was like this, right here, arms crossed.
Yeah.
But you get to know him. He's a great man, great person, as generous as anybody I've ever met, and truly cares about people. So,
Oh, I bet. And
he's great.
got to give a shout out to all the Notre Dame guys, like you mentioned. I call Shea Boyle Coach Boyle as well. And that'll probably never change, Coach Hirsch. I always like to have my guests just kind of name drop people. Who were some of your, say, buddies or teammates your junior, senior year that might tune into this podcast?
Yeah, my senior year, I mean, we were really tight as a group. You know, I still was just texting with Justin Halloran. I know he stays around and has helped out a bit, and I think he's coaching at he's coaching varsity ball in the city. The name is slipping my mind right now. But Justin Halloran, Eddie Serrano, Scooter, who is Dante Stevenson, call him Scooter. Jake Mastronzi transferred in his senior year. Yeah, I mean, we had a tight knit group. I'm going to miss some guys. And remember Danny Lazara, Tim Hirsch's younger brother, Billy Hirsch, was on the team. He didn't play the year before, but he played his senior year, if I remember correctly. Yeah, no, there's some good guys. And then when I was a junior, it was Joe Farisi was one of our better players. I remember we had Jimmy Cravens and Greg Leifel. Greg Leifel was a little guy, but he could shoot. Sorry, Greg, if you listen to this. I don't know. He was small, at 5'8", maybe. I don't know how tall you are, Nathan.
5'11".
Okay,
So.
taller than he was.
Yeah.
Joey Salito was another guy on the team. I'm definitely missing guys. Man, it's a long time ago.
I know. It was, like you said, you can't mention them all, but yeah, it's definitely a long time ago for you. You've had so many experiences since then.
I remember
So then you go.
Last one, Amar Bakar. He was a freshman.
Mm-hmm. I remember him.
Elvin, yeah, those guys were great.
He was a big dude, especially his senior year. He was fun to watch play center. So then you go to Air Force. How was just a transition from Notre Dame College Prep to Air Force?
Well, they prepared me a little bit because Notre Dame's all boys. Air Force is basically all boys too. It's like 15-20% women, but they're not. No offense, they're not the most attractive. They can be pretty manly.
Right.
But There's some beautiful women at the Air Force, of course, but then there's many that aren't, and so prepared me for that aspect of it. But nothing can really prepare you for the military. You just got to go do it, and I did it. I did basic training. I went through all that, and 6 weeks of basic training up at 5 a.m. and no phone, no clocks, getting yelled at all the time, running, push-ups constantly, just mentally and physically exhausting.
And are you practicing basketball like while doing that training too in that 6 months, or did basketball come after that?
Just 6 weeks. 6 weeks you start with
Oh,
the
6
basic
weeks.
training, and then we had maybe a couple. I forget what they call them, but like where they let you go play your sport, especially if you're an athlete. You meet with your team, and so we would play pickup maybe 4 times in that 6 weeks, or maybe it was like once a week, maybe 6 times. No, but that was intense, and got through that 6 weeks, and then transitions right into school. So if you make it through basic training, then you become a student there, and basketball is not priority there. So it's all military and academics, and then sports come third, which always made me, it always was something that I wondered. It's like, well, why are you recruiting me here to play basketball if you don't want me to focus on basketball?
Right.
And give me a hard time for wanting to be a good basketball player. So it was tough for me. Couldn't get in the gym like I wanted to, and but it was good for me in a lot of ways. The discipline and mental toughness are things that have helped me to this day.
Right, and that probably lives with you to this day. Not a lot of people can say they did that, so that just grows toughness and strength. So then you go to South Dakota State for how many years? 2 or 3?
Actually, University of South Dakota. I went for 3 years, and it's okay, man. It's people from South Dakota will get really offended if you do that, but because they got 2 universities in the state: South Dakota State. South Dakota State's, they've been in the NCAA tournament a number of times, and they have a good program. But no, I went to South Dakota for 3 years. I sat out for 1 when I transferred, and then I played 2 years, and we were good. We won the league. We just didn't get in the big dance because we lost on a buzzer beater in the conference tournament. And then the next year we were second in the league and lost in the championship to get in. So those were tough times for me because my dream was always NCAA tournament, and unfortunately didn't get there with South Dakota. But yeah, I had a couple good years there.
But you sure as hell did get there with Texas Tech. So that was your senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And just talk about that season, because what a season to remember.
Yeah, no, that was the time of my life, man. It's crazy. It's been 6 years now. It's 2025. That was in 2019, 2018-19, that season I was at Texas Tech. But no, after South Dakota, I graduated from University of South Dakota, and the way the transfer rules worked back then was if you graduated with eligibility remaining, you could transfer without sitting out. Now it's a free-for-all. Anybody can transfer and play right away. But my head coach got a better job. My South Dakota coach got a better job, went to Utah State. So at that point I said, all right, probably time for me to go too and get some exposure. I wanted to be a pro, so came down to Northwestern, Creighton, and Texas Tech. I ended up choosing Texas Tech. That was all God, just putting it on my heart, and I just had this feeling. I knew I had to go to Texas Tech, and anyways, went there. Regretted going for a long time. Coach Beard was on me hard. He was cussing me out. He's a tough coach. Was tough to play for initially, but clearly you can see now what he's doing with Ole Miss, what he did at Texas, what he's done his whole career. The guy can really coach. But no, man, it was a special season. We were, I think, the best team in the country defensively, and we had a lot of really good pieces. Jarrett Culver was our go-to guy. I always thought I'd be the go-to guy and be that alpha, but he was just that good. And we just had a great group around him, a lot of good pieces. And I mean, we had a lot of pros, but none of us on that team are even in the NBA right now. Um, it was just a great team, a great group of guys, great team chemistry, and we won the Big 12. And then you got the Michigan State poster behind you, so you know what happened after that. We went to the dance and had a nice little run and made it to the national championship. And we were up by 3 with 15 seconds left in the national championship. And we gave up a 3 to tie the game, went into OT and lost. So we were 15 seconds away from being national champion.
And yeah, I actually got the whole 2019 NCAA bracket sitting right here. And it's funny, I never really realized. You guys started with Northern Kentucky, took care of them pretty well. It just looks like every one of these scores is 50, under 60 points. That shows the defense right there. But it looks like you beat the Wolverines 63-44 in the Sweet 16, which is just dominance. Then the Elite Eight, you take down Gonzaga 75-69. Yeah, I was on cloud 9. Michigan State took down Duke with Zion and R.J. Barrett. And my fun little story about that is I'm a senior at Notre Dame at the time. And I did not want to play Texas Tech because of you, because I knew the entire community would, as they should, be a Texas Tech fan. So it felt like me versus everybody that I know. And you just could not miss in that game. I wanted you to do well, obviously. I'm like, this guy's Notre Dame Don. I'm going to root for him. But it got to the point where I'm like, this guy's got to chill. So, obviously, as a Michigan State fan, I'd love for you to talk about that Final Four game from what you remember, because you were the leading scorer of the game, and you were just pulling up from everywhere, and things were going in.
Yeah, I had a good game. It wasn't, anything crazy, 22 points, but I had a stretch in that game where I hit a couple threes in a row to open it up. But, no, first and foremost, I mean, the Final Four is just an unreal experience. You're playing in a football stadium. It's the only time you're ever playing a basketball game in front of that many people. And 70, 80,000 people in there. It was packed. And, it's hard because I was so zoned in for that I missed out on really kind of like feeling everything that comes with it, because you just have to be so locked in those situations. But no, I mean the media attention, everything, your phone's blowing up, like you have to turn your phone off, put it on airplane mode, just not even look at it, not go on social media, nothing, because everybody comes out of the woodworks. I mean, I had family and people that I haven't spoke to in a long time come to Minneapolis that I haven't, just because it's such an awesome environment and it's a cool experience. But as a player in that situation, you just have to be focused on the game. And I remember the game starting, I didn't score for the first 10 minutes of the game. And it's a tough thing as a player because, yeah, it's a big game, but you don't want to play outside yourself. You don't want to do something you don't usually do. You want to still try to let the game come to you, but then there's a fine line of being aggressive and going in. It's a fine line of, man, I need to be aggressive and go make a play for my team right now, but you don't want to force. So there's trying to find that fine line as a player. And I remember 10 minutes in, Coach Beard in the timeout, he just says, "We're here, man." He's like, "We're here. Like, it's time. It's time." And, I do have another story about that game that I could share. But just I remember Jared Culver was not having a good game. Davide Moretti wasn't having a good game. We were our three kind of main scorers on the team. And both those guys are playing terrible. And as a player, when that time comes, it's somebody's got to step up, and you just got to be ready to do it. And I was able to see the ball go through the net, and then the basket just got big for me, and think hit 3 threes in a row, and we stretched the lead and ended up going to the national championship. That's the most fun I've ever had playing basketball in my life. You know, it's an exhilarating feeling. So unfortunately, we couldn't get it done all the way, but that was the time of my life, man.
Yeah, and you'll remember that game, that whole stretch, beating two seeds, a 1 seed, going all the way to the national championship. Like you said, 3 seconds away. Obviously, forget about that championship, but there's experiences that you learn in all these games that I'm sure you still play with today. So,
amen.
Obviously, it was a long time ago, but congratulations, because you were a pain in my ass for this tournament, but I was happy for you at the end of the day. Obviously, rooting for you in the national championship. Quick little story for you. In this little stretch, you had people in our area, instead of when they shoot a 3 yelling Curry, we were yelling Mooney. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one before.
I never knew about that. That's great.
Yeah, so it turned from Curry to Mooney. So that's pretty damn cool. Also, you had Patrick Mahomes doing that slingshot celebration. Did you talk to Pat after that game?
No, he spoke to our team before the game, actually. He was in there, not in the locker room. I think it was maybe the day before or at shoot-around. Coach Beard had him up just in the film session, and he said what's up to everybody and spoke to the team. But, yeah. No, he's been around. I mean, he's a big ambassador for Texas Tech, so it was cool to see him, who's arguably the best player in the NFL. Yeah, that was supporting us.
Yeah, that's great. So now you go play some pro basketball. I saw you were playing for the Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. Am I missing any team? And the Utah Jazz, I think.
Yeah, no, I played. I didn't play much in the NBA. I had a cup of coffee with the Cavs. I think I appeared in 5 games for the Cavs. I appeared in 1 game, 2 minutes for the Knicks on Christmas Day a couple years ago. Other than that, it's been G League and overseas.
Mm-hmm. And how insane is the talent transition from college to the NBA from what you've noticed?
I mean, it's the big jump is mostly in athleticism and size. I'll say, like, yeah, your superstars are on another level, but there's a lot of players. I think right now I could go and play in the NBA and be just fine and play a role. It's about taking advantage of the opportunity when you get it, and a lot of it's about situation. But the thing is, the NBA does a great job marketing that you think these guys are on a whole nother level, and I had to adjust to that and realize, like, dang, I'm a great player. I just played in a national championship, and all these dudes who are getting drafted, and I think I'm better than all these guys. But you see the NBA and you see these guys on TV and the highlights, and you're like, man, they're way better than I am. But really, you get out there on the floor with them, you're right there with them. So if you're one of the top players in college, like, the difference isn't that big for guys, for role players especially. It's just guys that have taken advantage of those opportunities and been able to stick for whatever reason, be able to play a role. A lot of the NBA, a lot of these guys aren't great scorers. There's better scorers over here in Puerto Rico or different places in Europe, but they play a role in the league, whether they can really defend or whether they can just really, really shoot the ball, or whether they can rebound, pass, whatever it might be. Just being able to play that role. So the difference wasn't necessarily in the skill, it was just the size and athleticism. There's certainly a huge difference, which I'm at a disadvantage there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems like the IQ and just the style of basketball is a lot smarter out there in other countries as opposed to the United States?
It can be, you know. I played in Spain, I played in Turkey, I played in Italy, um, played in Australia, and now I'm playing in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, it's an interesting league. They pay really well. That's why I'm here. They got a lot of ex-NBA guys. Uh, Not a respected league like Europe, but it's actually pretty good. But you know, I went to I played in the G League for a couple years. The G League's not great basketball. It's a lot of individual basketball. Guys trying to get buckets so they can get called up to the NBA. It's not always the best brand of basketball. You have a mix of good players, high IQ, and the guys that who have no idea how to play. I went to Spain, and just so people listening understand, there's levels, right? Like, there's guys in Europe that are making $1,000 a month. There's guys in Europe that are making $200,000 a month or more. So there's some really high level basketball outside the NBA where guys, like in Turkey, playing against Shane Larkin, he's making $4 or $5 million a year, which they pay your taxes, they pay your house, they pay your car. So if he's in the NBA, he's not making that money. He's making more in Europe than he's in the NBA. Now, NBA pays the most money of any league by far, but there's guys who can make more in other leagues because of their value in the NBA is lower than their value overseas, and some big money out there. Now, anyways, the NBA is the best league in the world. Then it's probably Spain, Turkey, and then it's kind of a mix of maybe Italy, Australia, Germany. It's hard to say. France, but that's just so people understand, like, kind of the rankings of the leagues in the world. But it's in Europe. I'll tell you this, and then I'll stop talking. They teach kids how to play pick and roll. So you look at Luka Doncic. I mean, I think he's the best pick and roll player ever. I don't think he plays a lick of defense, but he knows you can't guard him in pick and roll. He knows how to attack the switch. He knows how to attack the hedge. He knows how to attack flat, drop. I don't know if these terms will make sense to people listening, but they teach you how to play pick and roll in Europe, but you do run a lot of set plays, where in the NBA it's a lot of actions, where they tell you, here's how you start in action, pass the ball to the big, and then we're going to set, it's hard for me to, zoom action or something, or just play pick and roll, and then here's whatever read you make out of pick and roll, then you just keep playing, and guys know how to space based on where their teammates are. In Europe, it's like, run this set, do this every time, the ball goes here, then it goes here, then it goes here. So there's some differences there in style of play.
And that's something that a lot of people don't understand about basketball. They just kind of think that the NBA, and you said the NBA is the best league, it pays the best, but there's other leagues out there that have so much value and just a different style of basketball. So I did appreciate that little rundown. And as a guest coming on my podcast, people don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. So I appreciate that. What's your team name right now?
My team name is the Piratas. Piratas de Quebradilla. So I'm in a small town, Puerto Rico. There's 12 teams in this league, and my team's the Pirates, Piratas.
What's the season like typically? How many games do you guys play?
Yeah, I actually don't even know how many games we play, but it's a short season here. The timing is odd because it's not your typical basketball season. In America, it's during the winter, but right now our season starts in March, ends in July. They do that here because of hurricane season, so they want to avoid hurricane season, and then they can get guys who maybe play in other leagues during the year. They can get them after their season ends. But no, a handful of talented guys. I mean, Emmanuel Moutier's on my team. He was a top 10 pick several years ago, but still a really good player. I think he's 28, 29 years old. You know, there's a lot of good Brandon Knight, Frank Mason, some guys that played in the NBA. JaVale McGee's over here. Hassan Whiteside was on my team last year. After DeMarcus Cousins left the NBA, he came to play in Puerto Rico. So it's a lot of kind of NBA guys trying to get back in the NBA, or guys that just want to make some good money and then chill for the rest of the year.
And that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, you got to maximize your earnings while you can.
Yep. And play wherever you could play the best type of basketball and take care of yourself and your future. Like I said, that's what it's all about. So, have you been following this college basketball season? Because obviously it was incredible to hear from you, from a guy that took his team all the way to the NCAA championship, and it's March. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's some crazy games that we're all about to witness. What's your take on the field this year? Do you have any hot takes? Or I'm sure you're pulling for Texas Tech. They're 3 seed again.
Yeah, 3 seed. No, I don't get to watch a ton of ball when I'm overseas, especially this year. I was playing in Australia, and the time change is like, well, it wasn't actually we were 17 hours ahead, but it just, and there's rules on what you can watch and stuff, but I would keep up. I'd watch highlights, and then when I was home in Chicago for a couple weeks last month, I started watching a bunch of games, and now I'm in Puerto Rico, and I was watching a lot of the conference tournaments. So I love Texas Tech. I think they're good enough to win it. I don't even think that's biased, to be honest. It might be like a little bit biased, but I think they're good enough to win it. And then I like Florida and Houston. Those are my teams. I think those teams are the favorites in my mind. Florida, Houston, and then I do think Texas Tech could win it because I've watched them quite a bit.
I like that too, because this year the bracket comes out and you hear everyone's predictions right away. Obviously, Florida, I think they're the most complete team, as much as I don't want to admit it, but you have to. Houston is known for a team that's typically a 1 or 2 seed, but they can't get it done. So they get called out just based on the past. A lot of people pick these brackets based on the past. Michigan State either out in the Sweet 16 or they make it to the Final Four. That's kind of what I'm hearing from a lot of people. But I feel like the 3 seeds are so dangerous and nobody's talking about them or picking them to win. So I'm with you.
3 seeds.
The 3 seeds: Iowa State, Texas Tech. Let's see. I'm looking at the wrong bracket. Wisconsin and Kentucky.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched much Big Ten. I did watch Michigan State game a couple weeks ago, and I thought I wasn't impressed with either team, to be honest with you. Izzo, legendary coach, has had success in the tournament. I more so go by coaches. Like, I think now I'm going to coach when I'm done playing at some point, and I think, okay, which are the best coaches in the country? Because college, to be honest, is a coach's game. The NBA is a player's game. Coaches don't have as big of an impact, in my mind, in the NBA. In college, coaches have a huge impact. If you're a good coach, then you can make a huge difference. And I think Rick Pitino, man, that guy can really coach, as evident with what's going on with St. John's. I think Coach McCaslin's a great coach. I do think the guy at Michigan is a good coach. He was good at FAU or whatever school he was at.
Yeah, Dusty May.
You know, I think Pearl's a good coach. So anyways, I more go so with coaches, and
That's a smart thing to do. But there's a side of the bracket right here. St. John's is a 2 seed. They're playing Omaha. If St. John's wins, they play the winner of Bill Self versus John Calipari at Arkansas. So I like what they did there with that bracket.
yeah, what did they do? So What I heard, there's something going on. I was watching something last night that they did something there on purpose to get Calipari to go against Patino if they both win, and they both coach
Typically,
Providence, and the game's in Providence. Is that
yep.
what it is?
But Calipari has to play Bill Self first. So it's the 7-10 matchup is Kansas versus Arkansas. And Kansas still has Hunter Dickinson, a few other studs, but they fell to a 7 seed. They lost a few games this year that they probably shouldn't have. They look terrible.
I think
But
that Dickinson guy is like the most overrated player. He's terrible to me. Because I watch a lot of Big 12.
he is such an asshole too. We obviously when he was at
Yeah.
Michigan, my parents hate the guy. Everybody hates him. We had a school shooting, RIP to all the victims in that, but we had a basketball game in East Lansing a few days after, and Dickinson, Michigan, comes into town, and we obviously had a big prayer service before the game. Everyone was wearing shirts and just respecting what happened, and Dickinson comes up, hits a three, and his celebration on the way down was him just hanging his hand down his crotch like, I'm the best. Right when that happened, I was like, I don't have any respect for this guy. I think he's a loser.
Yeah.
But he's a good player. Could be. He's a big dude.
Yeah, I don't know about him as a person, but I just think he's not a great basketball player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's
Crazy
just
how much money these guys are making, man. They're making. It just sometimes makes me sick to my stomach because I missed out big time.
with you in that run. I would have loved to hear the amount of change they would have thrown in your pocket.
I know,
But-
me too.
So you're going with, you said Florida and Houston in the championship?
Yeah, I just filled out a bracket. I think, yeah, Florida and Houston. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
Texas Tech is going to have to play Florida and St. John's if they win, and those are, yeah, two of the best teams in the whole thing. But yeah, I got my Final Four was Florida, Auburn, Houston, and Alabama. I think Duke is overrated. I got them losing, and I'll be honest with you, I hate to say it, I got Michigan State losing the second round to New Mexico.
I appreciate the honesty. That's what I noticed that you're not a big fan of Sparty, not a big fan of Izzo, but
Well, I watched them against Michigan, and I wasn't impressed. So that's one game of me watching. But
Mhm.
that guard, I think you win with guard play, and you win with defense. They're obviously tough and can rebound. So I might eat my words on that, but I don't know. I don't know how good that guard is they have. I know he did hit that half-court shot, and he looks
so
good.
they got Trey Holloman, Jace Richardson. He's a freshman, averaging like 14, 15 a game. Son of Jason Richardson, one of our studs that won the 2000 national championship. And he's projected to go 11th or 12th in the draft right now. We got Jaden Akins. I will say, I think this team is built for a run. The players play for Izzo, right? Like, they love him. So I really do think that the way that this team is playing, the defense, the rebounding, no one's making that selfish shot. But I am biased too. So I have Michigan State versus Florida in the Final Four. And then on the other side, I'm very impressed with Wisconsin. I got Wisconsin, Tennessee, which my Final Four looks way different than everyone else's, but that's what I'm rocking with right now.
Tennessee's legit. I haven't watched Wisconsin a whole lot.
They got a stud and a bunch of perimeter guys that play defense and can shoot. But Michigan State struggles. We played Kansas earlier in the year, and we shot 1 for 21 from 3 and only lost by 5. 1 for 21 is horrendous.
Yeah. Yep. Can't get much worse than that.
No, but our defense just kind of keeps us in the game. And we got Cohen Carr. I don't know if you've seen him dunk. He's just a freak of nature. But really looking forward to this tournament, and I guess we'll just see. I mean, nobody can predict anything. So,
No.
but I'm sure a lot of Notre Dame guys your year picked you to go to the championship, so you did them a solid there.
Yeah, the thing is, afterwards, a couple weeks after the national championship, my grandpa got a shout out to my grandpa, by the way. He was at every game and every practice at Notre Dame. Everybody over there knows him. But he got a letter in the mail, or a receipt from Las Vegas, because he had put $300 before the season started, $300 on Texas Tech to win the championship. And I forget what the odds were. And he forgot about it. And he got a notice in the mail, here's your receipt, because championship game is over, season's over. He would have won 20 grand if we had won it all on a $300 bet. So that one hurt. That one hurt even more after I heard that.
But he had faith in you. And you were 3 seconds away. But I'm really looking forward to this tournament, and it was a pleasure to hear from somebody that took his team all the way. And Matt, it was great to meet you. I wish you luck in the future of your career. You've always been a stud, so just keep killing it. And thank you for joining the podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Good to talk to a fellow Don. God bless you and all your listeners. And, I love Notre Dame and that community and everything that they did for me. So.
And it shows. I really appreciate your time and you coming on to support Don. So you're the man, and thank you, Matt.